Imagine this. It's 2:13 a.m. The office is dark. The servers hum quietly in the background. And suddenly, every monitor in the company flashes the same message. Your files have been encrypted. Pay 50 Bitcoin in 72 hours. The security alarms didn't ring. The antivirus didn't scream. No one noticed anything unusual, but the company has already lost control. This is the moment every CEO fears. This is the moment every IT team dreads. This is the moment that separates companies that survive from companies that collapse. And today, in this module, we're going to walk through exactly what happens next. Not in theory, not in bullet points, but step by step, like you're inside the war room, watching the entire incident response process unfold in real time. By the end of this video, you will understand what companies must do in the first 5 minutes after discovering a breach, what happens in the first hour, the first day, and the first week, how professionals investigate, contain, eradicate, and recover from cyberattacks. The real case study of a company that followed the right steps and survived, and the deadly mistakes that companies make, which turn small breaches into disasters. This is not just a lesson. This is a survival guide. Welcome to Knowitrix. Welcome to Incident Response. What happens after a hack? Introduction. Why incident response is the most important cybersecurity skill. Most people think cybersecurity is about firewalls, antivirus, and strong passwords. But professionals know the truth. No system is 100% secure. Every company will eventually face a cyber attack. The only question is, how fast can you respond? Incident response, IR, is the emergency room of cybersecurity. It is the difference between a company losing 10 minutes of data versus a company losing 10 years of reputation. A company paying 0 rupees versus a company paying 50 crore rupees in ransom. A company recovering in 24 hours versus a company shutting down permanently. Incident response is not optional. It is not good to have. It is the heart of corporate cybersecurity. And yet most companies have no IR plan, no IR team, no IR tools, no IR training, no idea what to do when the attack begins. This module fixes that. We're going to break down the entire incident response lifecycle using real-world examples, story-based explanations, practical demonstrations, tools and frameworks used by global cybersecurity teams, and a complete case study that shows how professionals handle a real breach. Let's begin with the moment everything starts. Section 1. The moment of discovery. How companies realize they've been hacked. Most people imagine a hack like a movie scene. Red alarms flashing, hackers typing fast, systems exploding, IT teams running around. But in reality, most companies discover a hack in one of these ways. A user reports something strange. A finance employee says, "Why can't I open any of my files?" Or an HR employee says, "My system is extremely slow." Or a manager says, "I'm getting login alerts from locations I've never visited." These small signs often reveal massive breaches. The IT team notices unusual activity. This could be a sudden spike in network traffic, unknown processes running, suspicious login attempts, disabled security tools, unexpected configuration changes. External parties inform the company. This is the most embarrassing scenario. A bank, a partner, or even law enforcement calls and says, "Your systems are compromised. Your data is being sold online." This happens more often than you think. Ransomware reveals itself. This is the worst-case scenario. The attackers have already entered the network, moved laterally, stolen data, encrypted systems, destroyed backups, and now demand money. By the time the ransom note appears, the damage is already done. Section 2. The first 5 minutes. What must happen immediately? The first 5 minutes after discovering a breach are the most critical. This is where companies either contain the attack or make it 10 times worse. Here's what professionals do. Step 1. Stop the panic. Activate the incident response plan. A cyber attack is like a fire. If people panic, the fire spreads faster. Professionals follow a structured plan called the Incident Response Playbook. This playbook includes who to call, what to shut down, what evidence to collect, what tools to use, what communication channels to follow, what decisions require leadership approval. Companies that don't have a playbook lose precious time. Step 2. Switch to secure communication channels. This is one of the most misunderstood steps. When a company is hacked, internal communication channels may be compromised. Attackers may be reading emails, monitoring chats, watching internal messages, tracking IT team movements. So professionals immediately switch to personal phones, external messaging apps, out-of-band communication tools, emergency communication channels. This prevents attackers from knowing what the company is planning. Step 3. Identify the scope of the attack. Before touching anything, the IR team must understand which systems are affected, how many users are impacted, whether the attack is ongoing, whether data has been stolen, whether backups are safe, whether the attacker still has access. This is like a doctor diagnosing a patient before starting treatment. Step 4. Preserve evidence. This is where most companies make a fatal mistake. They immediately restart systems, delete files, run antivirus scans, disconnect servers, format drives. This destroys evidence. Professionals instead take memory dumps, capture logs, save network traffic, preserve disk images, and document everything. This evidence is essential for understanding the attack, stopping the attacker, preventing future breaches, legal and compliance requirements, and insurance claims. Step 5. Contain the attack, but carefully. Containment is not the same as shutting everything down. If you disconnect systems too early, attackers may trigger ransomware, delete data, destroy backups, accelerate the attack, or escape detection. Containment must be strategic. Professionals isolate systems in a way that stops the attacker, preserves evidence, prevents further damage, and avoids triggering destructive actions. This requires skill, experience, and calm decision-making. Section 3. Real Case Study Setup. The company that survived a major breach. Before we go deeper into the incident response lifecycle, let's introduce the real case study we'll follow throughout this module. This is based on a real event, anonymized for privacy. Case Study. BlueShield Manufacturing Limited. BlueShield is a mid-sized manufacturing company with 1,200 employees, 4 factories, a central ERP system, a small IT team, no dedicated cybersecurity team, and no formal incident response plan. One Monday morning, employees reported files not opening, systems running slowly, login failures, strange pop-ups, and missing data. Within 30 minutes, the IT team discovered ransomware had spread across 70% of the company. But here's the twist. BlueShield survived. They recovered without paying ransom. They restored operations in 48 hours. They avoided major financial loss. How? Because they followed the correct incident response steps, even without a formal IR team. Throughout this module, we will walk through what they did right, what they almost did wrong, how they contained the attack, how they recovered, and how they prevented future attacks. This case study will guide us through the entire IR lifecycle. Section 4. The Incident Response Lifecycle. NIST Framework. Professionals follow a globally recognized framework. NIST Incident Response Lifecycle. Preparation, detection and analysis, containment, eradication, recovery, lessons learned. We will break down each stage with real-world examples, tools used, techniques applied, mistakes avoided, practical demonstrations, and integration of the BlueShield case study. Part 2. Detection and Analysis. How professionals identify the attack. The moment a company realizes something is wrong, the clock starts ticking. Every second matters. Every decision shapes the outcome. This is where the detection and analysis phase begins. The stage where cybersecurity teams transform confusion into clarity, chaos into structure, and fear into actionable intelligence. To understand this phase, let's step into the shoes of the professionals who handle real cyber attacks every day. Section 5. Detection: How professionals confirm a breach. Most companies don't immediately know they've been hacked. They only see the symptoms. But cybersecurity professionals don't rely on symptoms. They rely on signals. Signals are patterns, anomalies, and traces left behind by attackers, like footprints in digital sand. Let's break down how professionals detect these signals. 1. Log analysis: the digital CCTV footage. Every system generates logs: login attempts, file access, network connections, system changes, application behavior, security alerts. Logs are the CCTV cameras of the digital world. When an attack happens, logs reveal who entered, when they entered, what they touched, what they changed, what they stole, how they moved, whether they are still inside. Professionals use tools like SIEM, Security Information and Event Management, Sysmon, Windows Event Viewer, Linux Audit Logs, Firewall Logs, Cloud Logs. These tools help them reconstruct the attacker's path step by step. 2. Behavioral detection: spotting what doesn't look normal. Attackers rarely behave like normal users. For example, a user logging in at 3 a.m., a finance employee accessing engineering files, a sudden spike in data transfer. A new admin account created silently, a system connecting to an unknown IP in Russia, a machine running PowerShell commands never used before. These behaviors are red flags. Modern cybersecurity tools use machine learning to detect such anomalies automatically. 3. Alerts from security tools: the early warning system. Companies use tools like antivirus, EDR, endpoint detection and response, MDR, managed detection and response, cloud security tools, email security gateways. These tools generate alerts when they detect malware, suspicious scripts, unauthorized access, data exfiltration, ransomware behavior, privilege escalation. But here's the problem. Most companies ignore alerts. Studies show that IT teams receive thousands of alerts per day. Many are false positives. Many are low priority. Many are never reviewed. Attackers exploit this fatigue. Professionals, however, know how to separate noise from danger. 4. External intelligence: when outsiders detect the breach first. Sometimes the company is the last to know. External sources may detect the breach. Banks notice fraudulent transactions. Customers report suspicious emails. Partners detect unusual API calls. Cybersecurity researchers find leaked data. Law enforcement contacts the company. Dark web monitoring tools detect stolen credentials. This is embarrassing, but extremely common. Case study continues: how BlueShield detected the attack. Let's return to BlueShield Manufacturing Limited. At 9:12 a.m., an HR employee reported, "My files are not opening. They all have a strange extension." Minutes later, the IT team noticed CPU usage spikes, unknown processes running, multiple failed login attempts, a sudden increase in network traffic, and antivirus alerts across several systems. At 9:27 a.m., the first ransom note appeared. But here's the interesting part. The attack had started 11 days earlier. The ransomware was only the final stage. The attackers had already entered the network, stolen data, disabled security tools, spread across systems, located the backup servers, and prepared the encryption payload. BlueShield didn't detect the initial intrusion, but they detected the final stage quickly enough to respond. This is where the analysis phase begins. Section 6. Analysis: understanding the attack. Detection tells you something is wrong. Analysis tells you what is wrong. This phase answers the most important questions. How did the attackers get in? What systems are affected? What data is compromised? Is the attacker still inside? What is the attacker's objective? How far has the attack spread? What is the potential damage? Professionals use a structured approach. Okay, 1. Identify the attack vector, the entry door. Every attack begins with an entry point. Common entry points include phishing emails, weak passwords, exposed RDP ports, vulnerable VPNs, unpatched software, compromised third-party vendors, stolen credentials, and malware-infected USB drives. Finding the entry point is like finding the first domino that fell. Without this, you cannot stop the chain reaction. 2. Analyze malware behavior, what the attack is designed to do. If malware is involved, professionals analyze how it spreads, what files it targets, what commands it executes, whether it communicates with external servers, whether it steals data, has a kill switch, or persistence mechanisms. This analysis helps determine how to contain it, how to remove it, and how to prevent reinfection. 3. Trace lateral movement, how the attack spread. Attackers rarely stay in one place. They move laterally across the network, using stolen credentials, remote desktop tools, admin privileges, exploits, and misconfigured systems. Professionals map this movement like detectives tracing footprints. This reveals which systems are compromised, which systems are at risk, where the attacker is hiding, whether the attacker has domain admin access. 4. Identify data exfiltration, what was stolen. Data theft is often more damaging than ransomware. Professionals check outbound traffic logs, cloud storage logs, suspicious file transfers, encrypted outbound connections, and large data movements at odd hours. If data has been stolen, the company must notify regulators, inform customers, prepare for legal consequences, prepare for reputational damage. 5. Determine the attack stage. Early, mid, or final. Attacks have stages: initial access, privilege escalation, lateral movement, data theft, ransomware deployment, and cleanup and destruction. Knowing the stage helps determine how much time is left, what actions are safe, and what actions may trigger destructive behavior. Case study: how BlueShield analyzed the attack. BlueShield's IT team discovered the attackers entered through a phishing email sent to a finance employee. The employee unknowingly installed a remote access Trojan. The attackers used this to steal credentials. They moved laterally to the domain controller. They disabled antivirus on multiple systems. They accessed the backup server. They exfiltrated 14 gigabytes of sensitive data. They deployed ransomware across 70% of the network. But here's the critical part. They had not yet encrypted the backup server. This single detail saved the company. Because the IT team detected the attack early enough, they could isolate the backup server, protect the remaining data, begin containment, and avoid paying ransom. Section 7. Containment. Stopping the attack without making it worse. Containment is the most delicate part of incident response. If you act too slowly, the attack spreads. If you act too quickly, the attacker may trigger destructive actions. Professionals must balance speed, precision, evidence preservation, and business continuity. This phase is so important that we will dedicate the entire next part to it. Containment is the moment where the company stands at a crossroads. One wrong move and the attacker destroys everything. One correct move and the company regains control. This phase is not about fixing the problem. It's about stopping the bleeding so the patient doesn't die on the table. Let's step into the war room and see how professionals do it. Section 8. Why containment is the most dangerous phase. When a company discovers a breach, the natural instinct is shut everything down, disconnect the servers, restart the systems, delete the malware, but attackers expect this. Modern ransomware groups design their malware to trigger encryption if they detect removal attempts, delete backups if they detect isolation, wipe logs if they detect investigation, accelerate payload execution if they detect panic, lock systems if they detect admin activity. Containment must be strategic, not emotional. Professionals treat containment like defusing a bomb. Cut the wrong wire, explosion. Cut the right wire, survival. This is why containment is divided into two stages: short-term containment, immediate stabilization; long-term containment, preventing reinfection. Section 9. Short-term containment. Stop the attack now. Short-term containment focuses on isolating the threat without triggering destructive behavior. Professionals follow a structured sequence. Isolate infected systems, but do not shut them down. This is one of the biggest misconceptions. Most people think if a system is infected, turn it off. But shutting down a system erases memory, RAM evidence, and interrupts forensic analysis. Shutting down a system may trigger ransomware failsafes, may cause data corruption, or alert the attacker. Instead, professionals disconnect the system from the network, block its communication channels, and prevent it from spreading the attack while keeping it powered on for evidence collection. This is like quarantining a patient without killing them. The system is isolated but not turned off, ensuring evidence can be collected and the attack can be contained without further harm. Disable compromised accounts. Attackers often use stolen passwords, admin accounts, service accounts, VPN credentials, and cloud accounts. Professionals immediately reset passwords, disable suspicious accounts, revoke tokens, terminate active sessions, and rotate privileged credentials. This cuts off the attacker's access. Block malicious IPs and domains. Attackers often communicate with command and control servers, remote access tools, and data exfiltration endpoints. Professionals block known malicious IPs, suspicious outbound connections, unusual ports, and unauthorized VPN tunnels. This prevents attacker control over infected systems. Segment the network. If the network is one big open space, attackers move freely. Professionals create digital fire breaks by separating critical servers, isolating departments, restricting lateral movement, and limiting access between systems. This prevents the attack from spreading further. Capture forensic evidence before making changes. Before removing anything, professionals collect memory dumps, disk images, log files, network traffic samples, malware samples, and timeline data. This evidence is essential for understanding the attack, preventing reinfection, legal compliance, insurance claims, and law enforcement investigations. Case study: how BlueShield executed short-term containment. BlueShield's IT team made several smart decisions. They isolated infected systems without shutting them down, preserving critical evidence. They immediately disabled the compromised finance employee's account, cutting off the attacker's primary access. They blocked suspicious outbound traffic to foreign IPs, preventing further data theft. They segmented the network into isolated zones, stopping the ransomware from reaching the backup server. They captured memory dumps and logs before touching anything, allowing investigators to reconstruct the attack. These actions bought them time, the most valuable resource during a cyber attack. Immediate containment, evidence preservation, and blocking access allowed BlueShield to respond strategically instead of reacting in a panic. Section 10. Long-term containment, preventing reinfection. Once the immediate threat is contained, the next goal is to ensure the attacker cannot come back. This is where long-term containment begins, focusing on sustained security. Patch vulnerabilities. Attackers often exploit unpatched software, outdated operating systems, weak configurations, and known vulnerabilities. Applying timely patches is a key strategy to prevent attackers from regaining access. Professionals apply security patches, update systems, fix misconfigurations, harden endpoints. This closes the doors the attacker used. Attackers often install backdoors, scheduled tasks, registry entries, hidden user accounts, malicious services, startup scripts. These allow them to re-enter even after removal. Professionals search for and eliminate all persistence mechanisms. This includes timeline reconstruction, malware reverse engineering, credential compromise analysis, privilege escalation review, lateral movement mapping. This ensures no hidden threats remain. Professionals enforce MFA everywhere, strong password policies, privileged access management, zero trust principles. This prevents attackers from reusing stolen credentials. After a breach, companies must assume the attacker may try again, so they deploy EDR tools, SIAM monitoring, threat intelligence feeds, network anomaly detection, cloud security monitoring. This ensures early detection of any future attempts. BlueShield's IT team, with help from external cybersecurity experts, executed full patching of all vulnerable systems, removal of multiple backdoors left by attackers, reset of all employee passwords, mandatory MFA across all systems, deployment of an EDR solution, continuous monitoring for 30 days. These steps ensured the attackers could not return. Containment stops the bleeding, but the patient is still in danger. Now comes the phase where cybersecurity teams must remove every trace of the attacker, rebuild trust in the systems, and bring the company back to life. This is where the real craftsmanship of cybersecurity shines. This is where experience matters more than tools. This is where companies either recover or collapse under the weight of hidden threats. Let's step into the next stage of the incident response lifecycle. Eradication is the digital equivalent of surgery. You don't just remove the visible tumor, you remove the roots. You remove the cells around it. You remove anything that could grow back. In cybersecurity, eradication means removing malware, removing backdoors, removing persistence mechanisms, removing unauthorized accounts, removing malicious scripts, removing compromised software, removing infected files, removing attacker footholds. But here's the challenge. Attackers hide. Attackers camouflage. Attackers leave traps. Professionals must be extremely careful. Let's break down the eradication process step by step. Most people think malware removal is as simple as run antivirus, delete the file, format the system. But professionals know better. Before removing anything, they analyze the malware, understand its behavior, identify its persistence, map its communication channels, and determine its triggers and secondary payloads. Why? Because removing malware without understanding it is like removing a snake without checking if it laid eggs. Professionals use tools like EDR platforms, sandboxes, reverse engineering tools, memory analysis tools, Yara rules, and threat intelligence feeds to ensure all components of the malware are removed, not just the visible ones. Attackers rarely rely on a single entry point. They create multiple backdoors. Scheduled tasks, registry entries, startup scripts, hidden admin accounts, malicious browser extensions, remote access tools, rogue VPN accounts, and cloud tokens. Professionals search for these like detectives searching for hidden tunnels. Every backdoor removed is one less way for the attacker to return. Depending on the severity, professionals choose between cleaning the system or rebuilding from scratch. Cleaning is used when infection is limited. There is no deep compromise, no rootkit detected, and no domain controller compromise. Rebuilding the system from scratch is used when attackers gained admin privileges, malware modified system files, rootkits are present, ransomware deeply infected the OS, logs are wiped, or system integrity cannot be trusted. Rebuilding ensures a clean, trustworthy environment. Attackers often steal passwords, tokens, API keys, SSH keys, cloud credentials, and admin accounts. Professionals reset all user passwords, admin passwords, service accounts, VPN credentials, cloud access keys, and privileged accounts. This cuts off any remaining access. Attackers often exploit unpatched software, outdated systems, and weak configurations. Professionals patch operating systems, applications, firewalls, VPNs, cloud services, and third-party tools. This closes the doors attackers used. BlueShield's cybersecurity team, along with external experts, performed a full eradication sequence. First, during malware analysis, they discovered the ransomware variant was a modified version of Lockbit with custom encryption routines, a built-in data exfiltration module, and a persistence mechanism using scheduled tasks. Next, in backdoor removal, they found 2 hidden admin accounts, a malicious PowerShell script set to run every 12 hours, and a remote access Trojan disguised as a printer driver. All were removed. Finally, they rebuilt 42 infected servers and 310 employee workstations, ensuring the organization returned to a clean and secure operational state. They reset all employee passwords, admin accounts, service accounts, and VPN credentials. This action ensured that any previously compromised access was immediately revoked, and that only authorized users could access the company's systems going forward. They patched a vulnerable VPN appliance, an outdated ERP module, and multiple Windows servers. This was essential to close any entry points exploited by attackers, and further reduce the risk of a repeat incident. Recovery is the moment where the company transitions from crisis to stability. But recovery is not simply turning systems back on. Recovery must be controlled, verified, monitored, documented, and safe. Professionals follow a structured recovery plan. Let's break down the recovery process. First, restore systems from clean backups. Backups are the lifeline of recovery, but not all backups are safe. Professionals verify backups are not infected, not encrypted, not tampered with, not incomplete, and not compromised. Only after verifying backup reliability do professionals restore servers, databases, applications, file systems, and cloud environments. This careful process ensures no infected or tampered data is returned to the environment. Before bringing systems online, professionals check that no malware remains, no suspicious processes run, no unauthorized accounts exist, no unusual network traffic occurs, and no persistence mechanisms remain. This ensures the environment is clean. Professionals restore systems in phases: critical infrastructure first, then authentication systems, core business applications, department systems, and finally, user workstations. This phased approach prevents cascading failures and allows issues to be quickly identified. For at least 30 days, professionals monitor network traffic, user behavior, system logs, endpoint activity, and cloud access patterns. This continuous vigilance ensures there are no signs of the attacker returning. Recovery also involves informing employees, updating leadership, notifying customers when needed, reporting to regulators, coordinating with insurers, and working with law enforcement. Communication must be transparent, accurate, timely, and professional. BlueShield's recovery was a textbook example of professional execution. First, they restored all critical systems from a clean offline backup that attackers could not reach. They performed full malware scans, network traffic analysis, log integrity checks, and account audits to ensure a safe recovery before systems were brought back online. They brought systems online in phases. Day 1 included authentication and ERP. Day 2, production systems. Day 3, office workstations. This ensured a controlled and safe restoration. 45 days, BlueShield's team monitored outbound traffic, privileged account activity, and endpoint behavior. No reinfection occurred, demonstrating the effectiveness of their recovery plan. They informed employees, customers, partners, and insurance providers. BlueShield's transparency throughout the recovery process preserved trust with all stakeholders, serving as a strong example of crisis communication. The attack is contained, the attacker is eradicated, the systems are restored, the company is back online. But the story isn't over. In cybersecurity, the end of the incident is the beginning of wisdom. This is the moment where companies must reflect, analyze, document, and transform. Because every cyber attack leaves behind 2 things: damage, lessons. And the companies that survive long-term are the ones that learn faster than attackers evolve. Let's step into the final phase of the incident response lifecycle. Most companies skip this phase. They think, we're back online, let's move on. We don't have time for meetings. We already fixed the issue. But skipping the lessons learned phase is like surviving a heart attack and refusing to change your lifestyle. Professionals treat this phase as mandatory, not optional. This phase answers the most important questions: what went wrong? What went right? What slowed us down? What helped us recover? What weaknesses did the attackers exploit? What processes failed? What tools failed? What people were unprepared? What must change immediately? This phase transforms a painful incident into a powerful upgrade. Professionals follow a structured process. 1. Conduct a post-incident review meeting. This meeting includes IT team, cybersecurity team, leadership, legal, HR, communications, external IR consultants, if involved. Everyone shares their perspective. This creates a 360-degree understanding of the incident. 2. Build a detailed timeline of events. Professionals reconstruct when the attacker entered, when they moved laterally, when they stole data, when they deployed malware, when the company detected the breach, when containment began, when eradication succeeded, when recovery completed. This timeline reveals delays, blind spots, missed alerts, process failures, strengths. 3. Identify root causes. Root causes may include human error, weak passwords, unpatched systems, misconfigured firewalls, lack of MFA, poor monitoring, outdated antivirus, insecure vendor access. Professionals identify the first domino that caused the chain reaction. 4. Document all findings. This documentation becomes a training resource, a compliance requirement, a legal defense, a future reference, a blueprint for improvement. 5. Update the incident response plan. Professionals revise roles, responsibilities, communication channels, escalation paths, toolkits, playbooks, checklists. This ensures the next incident is handled faster and better. Nothing teaches better than reality. Professionals convert the incident into training modules, awareness sessions, simulation exercises, and tabletop drills. This builds a stronger, more resilient workforce. Case study: BlueShield's lessons learned. BlueShield conducted a full lessons learned review. Here's what they discovered. Root cause: a phishing email. A finance employee clicked a malicious attachment disguised as an invoice. Weakness: no MFA. The attacker used stolen credentials to access internal systems. Gap: outdated VPN appliance. A known vulnerability allowed lateral movement. Failure: antivirus alerts ignored. Multiple alerts were dismissed as false positives. Strength: offline backups. This saved the company from paying ransom. Improvement: new IR plan. They created a formal incident response playbook with clear roles, escalation paths, communication protocols, and technical procedures. Training: company-wide cyber awareness program. Employees were trained on phishing detection, password hygiene, and reporting suspicious activity. BlueShield emerged stronger than before. Section 19. Deadly mistakes companies make after a breach. Most companies don't fail because of the attack. They fail because of their response. Here are the most dangerous mistakes. Restarting systems too early. Restarting erases evidence, triggers malware, corrupts logs, and alerts attackers. Professionals never restart until forensics is complete. Deleting malware immediately. Deleting malware without analysis destroys clues, hides persistence, prevents understanding, and allows reinfection. Professionals analyze before removing. Not resetting all credentials. Attackers often steal passwords, tokens, API keys. If credentials aren't reset, attackers walk right back in. Bringing systems online too quickly. If systems are restored before validation, malware may still exist, backdoors may be active, attackers may still be inside. Professionals restore gradually. Not informing stakeholders. Hiding the breach leads to legal penalties, loss of trust, and reputational damage. Transparency is essential. Not updating security controls. If the company returns to business as usual, the attacker will return too. Section 20. Building a future-proof incident response plan. A A strong IR plan is the difference between a 2-day disruption and a 2-month disaster. Here's what a future-proof IR plan includes. Clear roles and responsibilities. Everyone must know who leads, investigates, communicates, approves decisions, handles legal issues, and manages customers. Chaos kills response time. Out-of-band communication channels. Attackers often monitor email, chat, internal messaging. Companies must use personal phones, external messaging apps, and emergency communication tools. Pre-approved technical playbooks for threats such as ransomware, phishing, data breaches, insider threats, cloud attacks, and DDoS attacks are crucial. These playbooks save valuable hours during an incident by providing clear, actionable steps for the response team. Companies must ensure forensic readiness by enabling logging, storing logs securely, maintaining a CEIM system, utilizing endpoint detection and response (EDR), and keeping system snapshots. All of these practices accelerate the investigation of incidents and support effective response. Regular tabletop exercises simulate attacks and help incident response teams practice their procedures. These simulations are essential for improving team coordination, identifying potential gaps in plans or tools, and building team confidence for real-world situations. Backups must be kept offline, made immutable to prevent tampering, and tested regularly. This is because having reliable tested backups is the ultimate insurance against data loss from cyberattacks or disasters. BlueShield didn't just survive the attack, they transformed as a company. Before the attack, weak passwords, no MFA, outdated systems, no IR plan, and minimal monitoring. After the attack, company-wide MFA, updated VPN, EDR deployed, SIEM monitoring, new IR playbook, employee training, regular simulations, and stronger backups. The attack became the catalyst for a complete modernization. BlueShield is now more secure than ever, thanks to new technical, procedural, and educational improvements throughout the organization. A cyber attack is not the end of a company. It is a test of preparation, discipline, teamwork, and resilience. Companies don't fall because they are hacked. They fall because they respond too slowly, too blindly, or too late. But the companies that survive, the companies that rise, are the ones that treat cybersecurity as a living system, not a checkbox. Incident response is not just a process. It is a mindset, a culture, and a commitment to protect what matters. And if you understand the steps, if you prepare your team, if you build your defenses, you can face any attack and come out stronger than before. If this video helped you understand what really happens after a cyber attack, share it with your team, your colleagues, and your organization. Cybersecurity is not one person's job, it's everyone's responsibility. And if you want more powerful, practical, real-world cybersecurity training, subscribe to Knowitrix, because the best defense is knowledge.